So the chairs are painted and clear coated, they are ready. It has taken me a while with these chairs. I'm hand brushing them probably with the wrong brushes, and I must admit it was tough doing these chairs. It's not my favorite thing to do right now, so I think I'm gonna have to try and either take them apart to paint them or maybe get some spray and do some spray painting. We'll see. Anyway, it took me 4 to 5 coats, not fully on the chairs, but the white part to get it so it wasn't streaky. In some places up to 5 coats. So as I say, it did take a little while, but now we are ready for doing the actual seats of the chairs. They are not disgusting, but they could do with a good wash, but they're not the style that I like. So I'm going to use this one here as my template, and I'm going to be using drop cloth here for my material. So what I'm getting is this drop cloth is it's a hallway drop cloth. So if you can see here, for hallways and narrow areas. So it's 4 foot by 15 foot. So the reason I get this one is it's cheaper. I don't know, in the US I am so jealous, but you seem to be able to pick up drop cloth for next to nothing, use it all the time, and here in Canada that's not the case. This, which has got I believe 2 in here, but it's 4 foot by 15 foot, is $17 Canadian plus tax. So if I was just getting a regular drop cloth, that just, the square regular ones, they're $30–40 Canadian plus tax, and I don't want to put a big price on these chairs, so I had to kind of be careful on that. So that's why I got this from Home Depot, and I've used it before. I am not an expert at doing this, certainly not an expert. This is actually only my second time doing this. So what I'm going to do is use the actual seat itself as a template and just cut out what I need. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm recording outside. You will hear nature, natural, like the bird right now, noises, but it's nice and cool outside right now, so that's where I want to be, in the shade. So sorry about any background noises, but I cannot actually I can't do anything about that, so let's get going on this. Okay, I did make a mistake. There is only one piece, so it's 1 15 by 4 in this pack, and so it's only one. So as you can see, it's not cheap to get drop cloth in this country. Anyway, I was hoping to get 2 out of the width, but I'm not sure I will, so I'm just going to test it out. And all I do is use the actual seat itself. I'm going over the whole thing and just seeing if I can just cover the whole thing width-wise with and get 2 in. So what I'm going to do is cut it all out. I do use way more material than I need, but that's because I'm new to this, and I'd rather have too much than not enough, because then that would be a waste and I can cut away anything I don't need. So right now I'm going to just mark out where the actual width of this is going to go, so I can staple on, and I'm thinking about there, which is obviously not enough for a second one, but I will keep this material for maybe a smaller seat or something else. So we're going to have to go down the length of the 15 foot doing 4 chairs. So I'm going to cut these out to the shape, and then we can get going on the rest. So once I get my first one cut out and I've got plenty of material, what I will do now is for the other 4 I will use this piece and just keep cutting around it for my next pieces. So I will get 4 equal pieces of material. I have my 4 pieces now cut out, and just checking on the last one, because on the last one quite often you can go bigger or smaller. just by kind of being a little lazy with your cutting. So I'm just making sure it does fit and it fits easily. I will have lots left over, and that's good. So what I'm doing next is going to flip everything over now and just tuck everything in and find my center. Alright, so we will be stapling this later, but right now I just want to find my center, my piece, and we are going to do some stamping. Okay, for this I'm going to be using my IOD ink and stamp and pad. So I'm using the stone grey. I find black is a little too modern and grey is a little bit more rustic, and that's why I use a lot of greys in everything I do. But I want to make sure that I put some fresh ink on my pad so it's nice and juicy. You don't want it way too juicy or else it's just going to go smear all over the fabric. But I do want it to be able to stamp nicely. So what I've got is the crockery stamps, and I'm going to use a couple of those, and I have the lettering stamps too. So I'm going to kind of get my pattern together, fix it all out, have a look, get it ready, and then go from there. So I've laid out exactly what I want to do here. I'm going to be getting it nice and straight a little later, but starting off with farm with the uppercase, fresh with the swoosh, and then we're going to be doing dairy farm with the little letters at the bottom. And because we're doing this as a dairy farm kind of theme, I picked out this here pure thick cream, I can't speak today, pure thick cream dairy. We're going to put right in the middle here. So I've got it, it's kind of where I want it, and now I'm going to slide out the actual cushion underneath and have it as a flat surface and start stamping. So let's get going. So I've pulled out the cushion from underneath and realigned what I've got going on here. Give yourself plenty of space, take your time with this. Two things: try and take your time, use everything correctly and just space it nicely. Enjoy doing it, but also use your brain on this one. You don't want to be doing it 3 times. You don't have lots of material, and because it's permanent ink, it isn't easy to get back out. You can't redo it very easily. So the one thing I always say, and it can be the simplest of words, you may be the best speller in the world, but make sure even your simple words that you haven't mixed it up, you haven't got your letters backwards, you've got it spelt nicely and correctly. There's many times that I've done it all, got it ready, and then especially with the swoosh stamp, it's not been lined up perfectly and it's gone on an angle or something like that. Now this is a rustic farmhouse table and chair set, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but you don't want to look kind of silly, you know? You don't want to have a silly mistake. You can have some room for error, but you don't want it to be a silly error. So just take your time on that, okay? And we are going to use I do not take care of my stamps, so these are the ones I found. I'm going to be using one to stamp on and one to press down on, and I do one letter at a time, just for the fact that my stamps are old, they don't stick anymore, so I just take my time. So I'm going to first probably going to do this so that I've got it in the correct place, the actual crockery stamp in the middle here, so then I can work up and down from there, so I'm not going at any kind of angle or away from where I need to be for when I put it back onto the seat. Okay, so I've got some fresh ink on my pad. It's a stone grey IOD ink, it's a permanent ink. I am now, hopefully you can see this, going to put some onto my crockery stamp, get it nice and juicy but not too juicy that the ink goes everywhere onto the material, because it does soak in, even drop cloth soaks in. Find your perfect place for it, push it down, and just, you cannot move now. You are now having to do this stamp in this place. You don't want to shift, you're going to get it blotchy, and again with material, you may have lots left over, but you don't want to be doing it 6 times. It gets frustrating. So do the best you can first time round. Push down and then get all the detail. And then pull up. That one came out beautifully. With the crockery stamps, I have the backing still on it, so I didn't need to use an extra backing for this, but that's how I cut them out with a backing on and just do it individually like that. So that came out just perfect for me. I'm happy with that, and now I can base everything else around this, so that's really nice. I'm liking that. So I'm going to start doing the dairy at the bottom with the little letters, so let's get started on that. And just, as I say, one letter at a time for me, because my stamps are not perfect. And then push down with your extra backing, get it all over. If you miss a bit, that's fine, it's rustic anyway, but try not to. And then pull up and you've got your first letter in there, and then just work along and keep going. I'm going to do the rest of this and then I will show you this one, and obviously it's going to take me a little while to do it all because I've got 4 of these to do. So I'm going to get going and then show you after what it looks like, and we'll put it onto the seat. Okay, so I finished the first one, Farm Fresh, and we've got the crockery stamp and then Dairy Farm at the bottom. I'm loving how it came out, and obviously it took a while to do. So then now I'm happy with the way it is. The other 3, because it's got 4 chairs, I'm going to lay out the 3 pieces of material onto the table, and each word I'll do all 3 at the same time. It'll be a little quicker, get through it, and I'll just, take your time, make sure it's all lined up, don't mess up, especially the last one when you kind of like coming to the end of something. That's when sometimes you make a mistake. But also you don't want to be doing this all day long, or else, especially if you're selling like I do, I sell what I make, you're not going to get your money's worth back. So now I'm happy with the look of this one. I'm going to do the other 3. So this is the first one I did, and since I've been doing the other ones, this one's nice and dry. It doesn't take long for them to dry because it's on material and it soaks in and dries nicely, but give it some time to dry. And then get an odd piece of material that you have, a nice light piece of material, put it over it. And then get your iron on a nice medium and just iron over the whole thing. Helps just set the ink nicely, and if anything's going to come up, it'll come up on this and it'll come off on your odd piece of material. Helps set everything you need to do it on all 4 pieces, and then just leave it all to dry completely. Take many more steps if this is something that would be washed often, like a t-shirt or something like that, but since this is just going to be a chair seat, generally they are not washed, but you don't want it to be completely ink rub off after a while. So when you've finished ironing over, then take it off. You'll see here there's tiny little bits of ink that have come up, but not much, and it is nice and flat and ready to go onto the actual seat. So now I'm going to iron each one of them the same, and then we'll get going and putting them onto the seat. Okay, so now this is done. This is the first one. I put it back onto my cushion and just got it where I want it to be. I wanted the farm part in the middle there and the actual crockery stamp close to the middle. So once you've got it in place, hold onto it and flip it over. Try not to move it around too much, and that's where you start stapling. I am no expert at this. I do get some creases sometimes, There are people that are experts at this, and I would suggest you go on YouTube and check them out to get the proper way of doing this. But I literally use my staple gun and just start stapling. Make sure it's nice and flat, and then keep going. And then pull up. You don't want any creases, so pull up the sides. And then staple again. So staple at the top, and then keep going down. The more staples the better, rather than the less. And then again, just pull it around, pull it straight, try and get all the creases out. And as I say, you can always cut off the excess, so just staple away. I'm going to go all the way around on this, and I will be cutting out what I don't need and just restapling where is needed. And I'll keep going. I'm Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and thumbs up. Thank you.